So just wanted to understand my audience today. All of you students, BSc students or? Okay. First question I'd ask is how many non-engineering graduates? Show of hands. Okay. How many members with less than 0 to 1 year experience? Campus hires. Okay. How many with 1 to 5 years experience? 1 to 5 years experience. How many more than 5 years experience? Okay. It's a very diverse group. With non-engineering, let me collect some data. I'm an analyst, right? Allow me to collect some data so that I tailor my presentation to my audience. How many CAs, finance domain? Oh, there's a CA, wonderful. Anybody from the medical, biology, human-related, animal sciences, biotechnology? Okay, no? Okay, then so engineering is what everybody is it? I heard CA. Anybody from the marketing side? Marketing, sales? Not really. Anybody in the, okay, so we have engineering and then there is one finance person. Is that the audience? Is there anybody lawyers, anybody else? Advocate, why God, wonderful. Fantastic. Okay, so, any other domains at all? Okay. Business, okay. Business as in business management, okay, okay. Okay. Any other domains I should know of? I'm sorry? Natural science, okay, okay. When you say natural sciences, plants, animals, chemistry, physics, okay, core sciences, okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, any other domains that I should be aware of? Fantastic. Thank you. Okay. Oh, okay, we went to this. Okay, I'll quickly introduce myself now that we are here. So I came in an auto. I'll probably go back in an auto. Regular guy, but I had a chance to work with some of the large clients, and I've just listed them down there. Right. I have about 23 years of experience in analytics. 10 years in the US, 1 year in Japan, and about 12 years in India. So I was one of the core members of Latent View Analytics. We went IPO last year if somebody had followed us. I was involved in portion of building the portion of the company. Yeah, that's my background quickly. I was involved in developing the syllabus for this particular course with Andrew Tangaraj, Andrew, and worked with Kamakoti, Professor Kamakoti in the past as well. So I have good experience working with IIT Madras. I was also a visiting faculty in IIM Calcutta. I designed the PGDBA program for them as well. So I'm come from that angle. I had requested the organizers to go through an old video, 2-year-old video, which was there in NPTEL, right? Did anybody have a chance? Was it even communicated to you? Did you guys go through that 1-hour video? You got a mail. Oh, good, thanks. You were informed. But did you actually even spend some time looking at it? You did, you did. Ah. Go through it fully. Wonderful. That's just my point of view. 22 years of data, I've compressed it in 1 hour. And what analytics is, what is AI, what is this whole Chatgpt 3 that's coming in now, what is telemetry, right? Some of the key topics for this year. That's what I'm going to share. So I kind of knew, people would have got the mail and you would not have gone through it fully. 1 hour is a long time. So I'll just quickly summarize it. So this is about the company, but we'll go through that, right? So this is something I had given. I was there last year in Paradox. I'm not sure if anybody remembers that. But do you remember somebody giving you this exercise last year? Anybody? This is from last year. I'm just bringing last year's presentation. So last year I'd asked people to go to OpenAI, which eventually generated ChatGPT. So we knew this in the industry, it's going to be big, right? Okay, at least this year have you gone to that website and tried this? Anybody? Fantastic. So do you remember my speech last year at all? Did I influence you at all or you just did it by yourself? You were not there last year, but okay. So, okay, let me give that exercise again. Go to OpenAI, get a license, go through these use cases. I can give a big lecture on ChatGPT, so I have a demo on that. I can preach as much as I want, but nothing like taking a bat and going to the field and hitting a ball, right? You can keep watching cricket as much as you want, right, and analyzing it. So I want you to go through these exercises. Uh, we feel ChatGPT, there's a lot of hype, as in any new technology that came in, right? There's going to be a lot of hype, but as it consolidates in the next 2 years, there are some very good use cases that are emerging. We see that in our industry, right? So we work with Bing. We are helping them roll out the chat, Bing is taking a lead over Google. So we also work with Google. Again, two different teams. So we see chat getting traction internally. I can't say anything more than that, right? My Microsoft will sue me, but it's getting a lot of traction, right? So, but I would like you to go through all these use cases to understand the applications of ChatGPT. One. Second thing, I was just telling somebody, who's looking for a job this year? Show of hands. Okay, congratulations. This year is going to be the toughest year in the past 14 years in terms of getting a job. As per data, 600,000 was what IT, again, in the IT services industry, 600,000 was what the big IT firms rolled out 2 years back. Last year it dropped to 350. This year it's going to be 175. Nothing to do with your capabilities, right? But it's going to be tough for you with nothing to do with it. Like I've seen, this is my third recession. I've seen three already. Right? You just hang in there, get a job, whatever job. Don't stay at home and play PUBG. Just go out there, get a job, do something hands-on, right? It will, and the other thing is go in person to the job. Don't do this virtual gimmicks, right? Coming back to this, we can go to the next slide. I'd also like you to watch these movies. You said you're going to talk about ChatGPT. What are you doing here watching these movies, right? These movies will help you appreciate how ChatGPT will get implemented in an organization. Have you seen Moneyball? What do you think about it? Is it analytics? Have you watched IPL? Did you play in the fantasy league? Yeah, it's analytics. Okay, you guys have to get these two right. And the next slide, Shakti. Thanks. Do you guys read Mint? Wall Street Journal? How many show of hands? For those who don't, please, there's a lot of political noise that's going on. This would help you get qualified for your job, and this will tell you where the business use cases are to implement ChatGPT. Right? The data I quoted, the recruitment number, I read it in Mint today. Amazon's also delaying 6 months. Anybody who's even joining the top companies like Amazon, they're joining dates by 6 months. Right? You get very good information, worth that money. This is something my professor in MBA school, like somebody like me, gave me a gyan. I said, oh, okay, sleeping through the session. Okay. He wants me to read a newspaper, and it was Wall Street Journal. So Milt and Wall Street Journal comes as a package, right? That will give you a global view. This will give you an Indian view. Highly recommended for all the students. Next one, please. And yeah, this is the last one, my favorite. Just be curious. What is this skill set that's most required for an analyst? Sorry, I should have asked that and then published this. What skill set? Okay, I've given you the answer. Now at least tell me, what is the skill set that's most required for an analyst? If you're going to implement ChatGPT 3 and telemetry applications, what is that skill set that you need? Thank you. Just be bloody curious on what the problem is, right? Technology can be handled easily, but the machine can never be curious, right? So that's all I had in terms of my video summary, right? The overall video, I was covering a lot of these points. These are some of the actions I want you guys to take. I mean, I'm giving the action even before I start my session because I have you young, fresh in the first 5 minutes. Want you guys to go through this, OpenAI, go through that, those movies, and go ahead and subscribe to Mint and Wall Street Journal, right? Read them because you're heading into a very tough job market. This, in my opinion, just have a speech with that guy, right? Whoever is interviewing him about his business problems, he is going to hire you. Trust me. Nobody cares about how strong your Python skill. I mean, they do care about it. I mean, that's part of your core job. Don't get me wrong. But you talk to a senior like me, if you understand the business problem you're trying to solve with analytics, they're going to really, really appreciate it if you're able to articulate it clearly. That's my only thing, right? With that, I'll probably switch over to my core slides. I think we are 10 minutes in. I can skip. I think the introduction part is done. This is broadly what we had in terms of an agenda. I'd like to, yeah, so Paradox 22 actions, I've already covered it. Would like to give it back to you guys again. That should take you another 10, 15 minutes, but I'd still like you guys to do this. I have with me two of my leaders, analytics leaders, Shaktivel Manoharan. He supported some of the logos I spoke about, right? These are practitioners, and Setu Madhavan, right? These guys have actually worked on the problems along with me. The problems we are going to talk about, Chatgpt 3, GPT-4 is actually what we are using these days, as well as telemetry data. So we'll go through those slides. If I can go to the next slide. Am I audible? Any corrections? Good so far? Okay. This is about the company, right? Latent view analytics. Great place to work in 2022. We went IPO last year. Does anybody follow the market? I'm sorry? Oh, that's a lot available right now. You can buy as much as you want. So that's one of them. And the thing I'm really happy about is our repeat business, right? We've been 89, 90% of our customers keep working with us. It's an old Indian culture. Loss of revenue, okay. Loss of face, no. Right? Like what your grandfather would say, right? Just make sure you don't, dishonor us, right? Like, so we are very, very focused on delivery. We'll get the job done. Otherwise, we'll let you know, right? That's our core value prop. We're based in Chennai. We have an office in Bangalore, but it's a distributed workforce. Most of them are spread across India, across the globe, to be honest. That's about it. We're about 1,100 and we are growing fast. Yeah, that's all about the company. Yeah, so how are you different from a TCS or an Infosys or a McKinsey is the usual question we ask. So we combine all three. So if you look at data analytics, there are three components. What are those three components? The answer is right there. I'm talking about three components that is being combined. There you go. Data science, data engineering, data analytics, right? Data engineering is what the IT guys are really good at, right? They focus on that and they've been doing a fantastic job for 20 years. Analytics side consulting is what the McKinseys and the BCGs of the world work on, right? And then there, of course, data science. There are some niche companies. Combining all three is the key area, right? I had a video on that, but I think it got lost. It was a basketball video showed towards the end and how those three gets combined. But it's important as professionals. Probably some of you already know that you get to do all three, right? Most of you think AI is data science. I'm going to focus only on AI, but 80% of the budget actually is in data engineering, and that's the heavy lifting. Right? That's the heavy lifting. That's where most of the budget is, right? Again, I had a few slides on how the career path and all moves in, but I'm happy to chat with you after this, right? So data engineering is your crux, right? Business analytics is what gives value for your clients, right? So when somebody joins us new, we put them directly in data engineering, programming. How fast can you throw the ball? If you want to play cricket, you need to pick up the ball and throw it, right? That's crux, programming, 50% programming. Unfortunately, that's how data analytics is. You cannot walk away from programming. And the tools might change, SQL, Python, C, C++, Java, right? Now we'll show you some script languages. Those will keep changing, but you will end up spending your day with programming, right? DE would be 90% programming, right? You'll be writing a lot of jobs. Data science would be programming with math. You'll be doing a lot of EDAs along with it. And of course, there's visualization for business analytics. Again, still there is a lot of programming that you'll have to do, building data models and others. But these are the three major components which you guys should be focusing on. Okay, I think I've covered the foundation part enough. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, so now we'll go directly into one of our solutions called Smart Search using GPT. So I'll hand it over to Setu.
Thank you so much. Hope I'm audible. So thanks for the opportunity. It's kind of inspiring to see these many people at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? So yeah, it gives me, yeah, it's unbelievable. Actually, it is, I didn't expect this much crowd to be there at 9 o'clock. So that's good, right? Go to the next one. So as Ganesh said, right, GPT is something, the language models, right? GPT is one language model, but there are n number of things, right? So that has been the, revolution that we are seeing, and enterprises such as Latent View, right? we are trying to solve business problems using these models, language models, right? So one use case initially is to increase the productivity using these tools, right? Maybe if you are, programmer, you ask the model to, code for you, right? If you have a error in your code, you ask the model to debug it. So the initial thought, initial first step was to increase the productivity. But as we got more confidence on these models, right, we have started, thinking about how to, use these models for our advantage and then solve actual business problems, which can bring us revenue, right? So I will start with a simple question, right? How many of you actually talk with ChatGPT on a day-to-day basis, right? Yeah, almost everyone, right? And it is even more when we ask people in the companies, right? They use 10 times more than what normal people use, right? And it is astonishing, right? How good it is, right? It is something which we have not seen before, right? How well it is able to, generate responses. It is almost like a human conversation, right, nowadays. But historically, language has been very difficult for models to grasp and understand. You would have seen it before ChatGPT, right? The models before the GPT models were basically rule-based, which means that there has to be someone in the back end who has to code all the prompt and responses, right? Let's take one example here. So we have two sentences, right? You are right and take a right turn. These two sentences, right? It has right as a common word. But we know, right, intuitively that these are not the same context, right? These are not giving the same meaning. But it has took us almost 70 years to create a model which can actually understand this, right? That is the revolution. It is not just one other technology, right? It is not that. It is like inventing a rocket, right? Or inventing a search engine. So that is what these language models have done, right? And traditional NLP models, the problem is these models, pre the GPT models, they process the words one by one. So what this means is they cannot understand the context in which they are written, right? Because they take one word at a time and then they do some kind of computation on it. But what these transformer-based models, which are birds of the world and GPT models, they use a neural network called transformer neural networks, right? And these process the words sequentially in parallel. That is what that parallel computation is what is giving these models, the ability to understand the context of the words. So it not only takes one word at a time, it also sees the weight of that word relative to all other word in the sentences, right? So that is what has been the revolution, right? If you go to the next slide. But as I said, right, NLP models are not new to us. And LLM, like language models, are one subset of a NLP model, right? So it has been there for a long time. It started in 1950s. Most of the names you might be very familiar with, n-grams, bag of words. Even today we use this, right? And these technologies have paved way for the newer models, right? If you see n-grams, right? Somewhere in your GPT model, n-gram is a part of it, right? So it took us some time for us to, go to neural network based model, where what we do is you take a word in a sentence and then you convert it to a number, like a vector. And then you give it to the neural network for it to predict the next word. So any NLP problem, right, there is only one solution people are trying to get out of the NLP model. How to predict the next word. That is the core problem of any NLP model, right? And ChatGPT is exactly doing the same, right? As you can see in the web portal, it is just predicting word one by one, right? Using probability, right? So neural network was a groundbreaking invention in NLP models. Even today's ChatGPTs are some form of neural network, right? As I said. And 2010 was a very good year for NLP because Google released Word2Vec, right? Search about it. Word2Vec is what changed our perception about language model. So if you take two words, right? Let's say good and great. Lexically, these are different words. But Word2Vec, what it did is, it invented something called embeddings, right? And it said that, okay, even great and good is not the same word, but they are semantically similar, right? So that was a groundbreaking invention which paved way for the later models, right? And then 2018 you saw BERT coming up, and 2020 you saw GPT coming up, right? GPT is a version of BERT. BERT was from Google. Okay, Google is there everywhere. Okay, in this thing, if you see, most of it is in Google. Okay, but why GPT is special is because it is a large language model, right? BERT was a language model. There is no denying that. But GPT is a large language model, which means that they have been trained with humongous amounts of data, right? You can see 175 billion parameters in a neural network is something we have not heard before, right? So, and fast forward to today, because of the success of GPT, and we have a clear architecture on how to create a language models. As we speak, maybe now there might be 2 new language models coming up, right? Some of you might also be working on a language model, right? So that is the market today, right? We have, as and when we talk every day, there has been this is only till 2022, but now it is even more, competitive, right? Different companies which has the computational resources to create a language model, they are taking a stab at it, and then they are creating their own model, right? We see, Llama from Facebook, right, which is trained on conversational data, right? So that is even more special because ultimately GPTs are used for creating chatbots, right, where we interact with the model. So what if you actually train the model using conversation data itself, right? Then it is much more special. So that is what Llama has done to the industry, right? So there are inflow of a great amount of language models coming every day. Going to the next one, right? But organizations, right? We cannot just get caught up with all these new developments. We cannot keep on go and every day start our day just by reading what all language models have come up, right? That is not going to work in a long term. So any organizations should look at language models in 2 ways. One is to improve the productivity of individual resources, like people working in the company. That is one thing. Second is to solve business problems. That is where the money is. Okay, productivity, well and good, but businesses don't really care about this, to be very honest. Okay, solving business problems using the language model is where the money is, right? So we started with exploring the first part. Maybe 6 months before today, right? We started with what is Chatgpt, how to use it for coding purposes, or writing a mail, right? Understanding the code, things like that. We started with that, but soon we analyzed, we understood that okay, this is not going to work, right? Because there is no end for this. So we went to the second topic, and that is what I will be going to present, the solution which we have built using the GPT-based model, right? If you go to the next one, yeah, this is a solution we have built. Okay. So it is called Smart Search, okay, and it is a GPT-based enterprise search engine, okay, for documents. This is a solution we are presenting today. To give some context, right, any entity for that matter, it can be even IIT, right, you might have lots of knowledge repositories, research papers, things like that, right, and the problem with the current setup is, it is all stored in silos, right, it is in different portals and different tools, things like that. Searching it is a difficult task, right? Suppose you have a great research idea. You go into your IIT website and search for that particular document. 50% of the times, that document will not show up, okay? Then what you think is, okay, this is a very new idea, nobody has written about it. You go, invest your time, and then you start with it. You go to present it to someone, and they say, okay, this is done 5 years ago, right? This is what happens, right? Because of the poor quality of the search engine, right? So what we thought is, why not use GPT solution, because of how capable it is to understand documents and interact with human, right? What we did is, we created a chatbot where people can search what they want in natural language. They don't have to provide the exact keyword of what they are searching. And then this tool or the solution will search through all the document repositories and put in give out relevant information to you. Okay, so it is not just a keyword based search, right? Most of the search engines, like now, organizational document search engine, I am not talking about Google and other things. Like, let's say there is a SharePoint, right? You store documents there. The search is basically keyword search. So if you put a name, put a question, and if it matches to the file names, right, it will give you the document. It is not going to read into the document and say, okay, this is relevant, even though what you asked and the file name is not matching. It is not going to say that, right? So this is a solution we are proposing. We ingest data from different sources, train the model using these data so that the user can ask any questions they want, and it will give relevant answers, right? If you go to the next slide, and what is the key values, right? We cannot just create a tool for sake of it, right? What is the value we are giving out, right? First is secure access. As you know, right, in the enterprise world or a organizational setting, people are, suggested not to use ChatGPT for one reason, because it is not secure, right? We cannot restrict people to, ask them to only ask certain set of questions, right? They might ask anything. So we don't really encourage them to, ask, interact with ChatGPT that much. But what in the recent times happened is Microsoft and OpenAI released a service called Azure OpenAI service. Anyone know about that? Azure OpenAI service, right? So what this does is, you will get a private version of ChatGPT or the GPT models inside your Azure clusters. So the data doesn't go out really to any open sources, right? So that has given us a confidence to put in all our knowledge documents into this tool. So this tool is not only for our internal purpose, we are also showcasing the secure and privacy aspects of the tool to the clients to win new projects, right? So secure access, because we are the very few initial customers to get access to this OpenAI service because of our relationship with Microsoft. Okay, and second is enhanced search, and there is no denying, right? I don't have to explain how good is GPT models, right? We know how good it is. And third one, we are building a solution with plug and play tools, which means that in the real world setting, right, some of the clients might not be really interested in Microsoft-based product, right? They might be interested in, AWS or GCP. So we are building a model which can be plugged into any ecosystem the company is operating in, right? And the fourth one is actionable insights. This is what is the, when you take language models, right, it will not only, summarize the data, it can also provide some insights to you, right? You would have seen, right? I have 2 days holidays, where to go, right? It will give you insights. Okay, this is a summer time. Maybe you can go to a hill station, something like that, right? It is not only summarizing the text from its training data, but it is also understanding the meaning, and then it will give you some useful information, right? So these are the key value propositions, and I will also quickly show the architecture of this. So this is the architecture. So as you know, right, these GPT models or any language model, there is one key limitations. It has something called prompt limit, right? For example, GPT 3.5 model has 4,000 tokens. Tokens are basically words, right, in some form. Basically 4,000 tokens are somewhere around 2,500 words or something like that. And GPT-4 is 8,000 tokens, and there is also 32,000 tokens. But that token limit is always there. So you cannot just put in all your data into ChatGPT and ask questions, right? There is a limit to that. So what we have come up is something called embeddings. Okay. So what we do is, we take our complete knowledge base, convert them into embeddings. Okay. Embeddings are basically multi-dimensional vectors in the vector space, where words are mapped based on their semantic meanings. Okay, so read about embeddings. It is a very good concept, and there is no implementation of ChatGPT without embeddings in the organization setting. So we create embeddings of all these input documents, and then we do something called semantic search. So whenever user asks a question, right, obviously he might be asking something specific. So what we do is, we use these embeddings to know, okay, what document might be relevant for this user query, right? And then let's say there are 1,000 documents in your repository. You might be asking some question which is available in 50 documents, right? We collect these documents using something called semantic search, and we give those 50 documents to the OpenAI service, basically, and then we get out the response, right? So this is how our setup looks, and again, this is Microsoft heavy architecture. But as I said, right, for each and every component of it, there is an alternative in AWS, you could see, except this, Azure OpenAI service. I think AWS is still working on their internal language models, but it is not going to beat OpenAI's GPT models. Okay, so one more alternative we are working on is to work on a offline LLM. Right, as I said, there are many companies giving out open source LLM models as offerings. So we are also working on that component, so that if someone is interested in, let's say, AWS, right, we can remove the Azure OpenAI service, and then we can put our LLM models there. So this is the architecture. Again, after the meeting, maybe we can talk more about this if you are interested in this. Just for time's sake, I will go to the demo directly. And there is one more slide. Again, this is where there are many challenges to language models. Okay, like how there are many more than this, but these are the top 4 problems we are seeing. First is hallucination. You would have seen that, right? It is instructed to always give you an answer. Okay, that is how they have coded the models, any models. So sometimes even if it doesn't have some information, it will just make up some response, right? So that is good for some purposes, but in an organizational setting, that will not work. If it doesn't know something, it should say it doesn't know that, right? And the second is bias, right? The more data you put in, the model will become good, but we should be careful on what type of data you are putting to the model, right? So we'll have to be careful in putting equal proportion of different perspectives. Sometimes we have seen, right, ChatGPT being discriminate to certain races, certain countries, right? This is because the training data is in that way, right? So bias is something we'll have to be careful. Prompt size, we talked about it, right? And misuse, right? So as researchers or as people working on these models, right, we cannot go and create LLMs on our own. But what we can do is we can research for ways in which we can, get around with these problems. I will also encourage you guys to do that. Okay, instead of creating your own LLMs or working on that, right? If you could find what is the current challenge in current GPT models, and if you can find a way to bypass that, right? That is of value to kind of companies, even for GPTs, right? So this is the deck which I prepared. Also go to the demo and show you the tool, and probably we'll take it from there.
Sorry about the flickering. I think it has to do with the projector. Maybe you guys can resolve it for the next team member. Inform your facilities team. Sorry about that, not intentional. So I'll just give you one interesting thing. So we tried BARD, the Google's tool, and we tried ChatGPT. I asked a very simple question: who is the founder of Latent View? Right? We went IPO and all that. It's there in the website. It said one answer was correct. It said Venkat Vishwanathan, he is the founder. And then the other answer, it said Hariharan Sankaran. Right? I mean, anybody, oh yeah, some South Indian company, South Indian, that person doesn't even exist in our organization. That was ChatGPT for you, right? It looks so convincing for a person outside. Oh yeah, yeah, ChatGPT must be correct, right? So that's the first part he spoke about hallucination. That person doesn't even exist. I've worked there for 10 years. I've never even heard of that name. It just created a name, right? So the reason why I'm saying that is it has to be dealt with very cautiously, right? You cannot expose it to somebody. It can create a lot of what you call fake news. Fake news, by definition, is 50% honest news and 50% totally created, right? It's the number one problem in the world right now. This can propagate that very easily. I want a screenshot, but in the lack of time, I'm not showing it. OpenAI. I went to OpenAI and asked this question. I went to bard.google.com and asked this question. Both of them gave something weird. The other thing said Rajan Seturaman, a CEO, went to IIT Madras. He went to BITS Pilani. I don't know why it came up with IIT Madras, right? These are, and Pramad Jandiala, another founder, she went to BITS Pilani. She was a distinguished alumni in BITS Pilani. It told it as IIT Bombay. It's showing it right now. You can go check it out yourself, right? So the names were correct, the positions were wrong. Then I checked it every 2 days, 3 days, right? Then it said old CEO as the founder. He's no more with the organization. He's a mentor now for us. It's saying that. I'm just taking one use case of Latent View as a company and how different roles and qualifications and everything is being done. And the worst part was it created its own name, right? That's the thing I didn't expect. I can forgive everything else. But creating its own name for a person who didn't even exist as a company, as the founder, so just be very careful. All of you might end up working in within 6 months. Last year I predicted ChatGPT will be big. This year I'm predicting in this paradox. Within next year nobody's going to talk about it. It's like, oh, that thing doesn't work, right? But then it will work, right? Just like every technology, if you've seen Gartner's wave, right? It'll go through a flat line of expectation, right? It will work. We will see 5 years from now you will be using it if you take data science as a profession, right? It is here to stay. Remember this, these are the issues that you'll face with the hallucination part. It's not to be underestimated. Okay, thanks.
These are ideas in addition India that will come up the same next year. I can keep giving you more use cases, finance domain, right? Somebody said you want the business world. You have invoices. Some of the large companies, they generate 10,000 invoices per day, right? It's all physical. They'll probably be converted to PDFs. How would you just find out what is the amount for trade on a daily basis? Only this is possible. You can't have everything in any other. Right? So a lot of automation will come. Right now, a lot of people are manually doing it. That work will probably get happened. So I'll stop here. We have only 15 more minutes. So maybe Shakti, you can go forward and I'll confront it.
Yeah, sure.
So the next one would be on telemetry. Why I chose telemetry is 5G. People heard of 5G? Who do you think is going to use 5G more? Machines or humans? So first 20 years, right? 2000 to 2020, human generated data was dominating, right? The next 20 years, again, my humble opinion based on what I've seen, machine generated data will overtake the human generated data. Most likely, some of you will be looking at what machines are talking to us, analyzing what machines are saying. If you're doing web analytics, if you're working in large e-commerce companies, anybody, right? Web analytics. Web analytics, if you visit Flipkart, they need to know how many people came to their Diwali sale on a daily basis, hourly basis. How many people are looking at their promotions? How many checkouts are happening? Just one use case for you there, right? That's all telemetry. Basically, you are logging and that gets logged into the machine and at a user level, you are looking. You have so much data generated, right? For example, like terabytes of data. By the time you process 1 terabyte and put it nicely in a structured form, 2 terabytes are generated. By the time you do 2 terabytes, 4 terabytes are generated. It's like you will never be able to catch up. So the telemetry data is humongous, especially sensor data. When I talk about sensor data, I'm talking about laptops. Some of the companies using laptops, they're diagnosing it to improve their products. Cars, right? We work with some of the large European companies in the world, right? Manufacturing companies, high-end companies, right? They use their data to provide good service. If your battery is going to go down, like for example, Tesla is monitoring your car on the fly. This is not like futuristic stuff. This has already happened 3 years back. So I can happily say this to you, and I'm like, cool, but this has happened already, you can look it up, right? So those are the very powerful use cases. Automotive companies, machines, if you're having an industry plant, trying to understand when your machine is going to go down. It will help you improve your bottom line, as in your downtimes at least by 10% to 15%. Very effective. We have seen those use cases. I'll probably hand it over to Shakti and maybe yeah, don't trust the machines.
Yes. So, most of the part is covered by Ganesh itself. Okay, no problem. So, can someone tell what are the devices in this particular room that generates IoT level information? Projector. Yeah. Laptop. So everyone has one devices that definitely generates some kind of
I'm giving them the answer.
It's a phone, right? So every day you will be wearing a smartwatch, phone, you will be using laptops. All these things will generate IoT level devices. And what I'm not sure whether you guys going to use that particular information or not, but definitely the companies who generates the manufactures particular devices will definitely use that IoT level information for few things. They will be using this particular information for mainly for 3 different purposes. One is for R&D. For example, let's say the performance of smartwatch is not that great. So what they will do? So if the dimension of battery has been changed, whether the performance of the battery is lasting longer or not, they will be doing a lot of R&D checks with the help of IoT data, and once they can able to design proper design which provides a long-lasting battery, they will be manufacturing that. So for those kind of design and manufacturing, they will be using a lot of IoT level data. Again, let's say, how many of you bought some laptops in last 1 or 2 years? Okay, have you ever faced issues with your laptops? So I hope if it is within 2 years, you will be definitely having a warranty. Have you ever raised a complaint? Yes. Has that been solved in the first time?
Yeah.
I think you are the luckiest guys. The problem is, as per the data, so the companies which doesn't use machine learning, there are a lot of GPT related models, bird related models, and IoT related models. So what with the companies which doesn't use these kind of things, what we are seeing is out of 100 complaints, okay, whatever the customer is raising, close to 60% of issues is not getting resolved the first time. So which means if I'm complaining something saying that the battery is not working really great, so I need to have some kind of checks and balances. So what they will do is they will be sending a support person to your place and they will try resolving it. But instead of battery, they will be doing some other motherboard replacement and all other stuff. Okay, because they don't have real data. Only based on the customer complaint, they have to solve it, right? But think if you have a GPT-based model which solves the customer complaint with the help of historical data, they can able to resolve the issues in the first step. Okay, again, to give more power with that particular recommendation. So definitely the GPT can't, as said by Ganesh, GPT is not 100% accurate, right? Because everything is text-based data, and based on the historical data only, it will be going to recommend some kind of issues that you have to replace. But what other thing that gives you 100% or 95% accuracy? Definitely the IoT level information is right. So because that information is generated from your device. Okay, let's say the battery performance is going down. So which means they can able to record and sense all kind of correlation metrics. Something like whether the fan speed is fan is working properly or not. Okay, let's say the I think I'm going to over audible now. Okay, let's say the battery performance is going down. Okay, what will happen? What are the other things that impacts the battery performance? Yeah, definitely temperature. So which means there might be the problem with fan as well. Okay, if you use only the GPT based model, the problem what we are seeing was it will recommend battery that need to be replaced, but the real problem might be with the fan. Okay, the fan might be repaired and it is not working, due to which it impacts the temperature and it makes the battery degrade the performance. So what is the actual part that need to be replaced even before it fails? Fan, right? So second use case what we are seeing was, so let's say battery is failed. Okay, with the help of IoT device, IoT level information, we can also tell the agent who's going to replace the particular battery, hey, this time battery is not only going to fail, within next 10 days your fan will also going to fail. So what is the benefit that company will get out of it? Can someone tell me that? Come again? Audible sound. Exactly. Okay, because after 10 days, if again there is a problem with the computer or mobile phone, what will happen? You will be so frustrated. You won't be giving good value to the. You won't be a brand ambassador for the company. If it is working fine, definitely everything, whatever you you will be happy and you'll be informing friends that hey, I've complained only for battery, but they have replaced fan as well because they thought it will also fail in coming days, right? So that kind of information can also be achieved with the help of IoT level information. Okay. So again, so all these things can be used in product quality and the account managers. For example, let's say there is one customer uh, who uses uh, let's take example of TCS. Okay, there are 4 lakhs employee, right? Every TCS every employee should get a laptop. Okay, consider that I'm having a contract with TCS is having a contract with Dell, Lenovo, or HP, or whatever the computer device company was. Okay, so they won't be buying a laptop. Instead, they will be having a contract saying that for next 2 years, Dell will be providing the laptops to you. Okay, so whatever the issues, we will be taking it. Okay, again they'll be having something called SLAs. If there is an issue, we'll be solving it within 2 days, and based on this, Dell, Lenovo, or HP will be paying huge amount from TCS. Consider that they are using Dell laptops. Okay, they are facing frequent issues with the systems. So, do you think TCS will renew the contract after 2 years? Anyone? Exactly not, right? Because due to the system issues, everything will fall down and the productivity of the employees will go down. Simple, right? So these are the few issues that we have to that the product manufacturing team will be considering, and with the help of IoT level data, the quality of the product will improve, and they can able to see all kind of issues, why it is correlating with other related issues, and R&D teams will also use this for improving the performance. Okay, I will straight away go to a demo part. Okay, yeah. So consider that you bought a laptop for, in last 6 months. Okay, so you're more excited that your gaming laptop is close to 3 lakh, and you bought it, you played a game. After 2 to 3 months, the performance is very low. Okay, so what you will do, again, you are from China, not from India or anyone. Okay, you don't know English whatsoever. Okay, so what you will do, you call a customer service agent, and either you can call the agent, or you can raise a complaint over web chat, which is in Twitter, any social media handle, because nowadays companies use omni-channel techniques, right? So you can raise a complaint in Twitter, you can raise a complaint in Facebook even. Nowadays WhatsApp is more famous for that. Okay, so once the complaint has been raised, you will be getting a call from a customer support agent, L1 level. Okay, they will be just asking you a detail, and details about the computer or the phone, whatever the complaint was, and based on that, they will be start doing a remote diagnostic. Okay, issue, you told the issue. Okay, let's do some kind of remote diagnostic. Okay, if the issue has been solved within the normal software update itself, then it is well and good. Till the customer is happy, companies will also be happy, because there is no need of product replacement, okay, the part replacement. But what happens if the issue is not solved in the remote diagnostic? There comes the problem of replacing the part. Okay, so as of now, we don't have any kind of IoT level information. We have only the text data, which is the call from the customer or the message from the customer. Okay, yeah. Right.
If you reduce the resolution, apparently it will stop.
Oh,
You want to reduce the resolution or go with the demo?
let's go. Okay, let's say I'm an agent. Now I have a lot of active cases, close to 14 active cases I have. So as I said, I am from China. So this is the case which you have raised, and just by opening it, I can able to see what is the customer complaint, what it is an actual normal plain demo text. Okay, so I can able to see what is the warranty period for the product, everything is there. Okay, what kind of product it is, and what is the case notes that customer has been given. Okay, if required, the models doesn't require any kind of translator, because all kind of LLM models can work efficiently with all different languages. Nothing to do only with English, but it also works fine with other languages as well. But if the agent, as an agent, I need to understand a little bit, right? So what the text was. So here we are using Microsoft Translator service, and the agent can see at the top what it says in Chinese languages. Okay, just by clicking on the recommend part button. So what it does is the LLM model behind this particular integration has been triggered. Okay, whatever the Sedu showed, right? So everything, the BERT kind of model or GPT kind of model has been triggered at the backend. So it will, based on the text data, okay, based on the text data, whatever we have it here, it says that the issue is with the display or the battery. Okay, so there are a lot of helpful for customer support agent. So this particular thing has close to around 85% accurate, and the agent can easily resolve this particular issue, and they can able to easily order the parts, everything. Okay, okay. So I'm not stopping over here. Then, so as of now, I said 85% accurate, right? But what happens with the help of IoT data? So we have display and battery as one of the metric. So as yeah, you can see, right? So agent will be also having access to this particular dashboard, where they can able to view what is the number of units that have rested, and which is emitting the IoT level information, and all kind of breakups will be available. Similar way, if required, they can also able to check the thermal health. For example, let's say it shows display and the battery. So I'm just checking what is the temperature, and the fan speed is normal or not. Okay, with this particular thing, I can able to see that for last 2 years, it is within the average, and even the rotation speed is within the average. There is no problem with the fan. Okay, similar way, there will be something like a battery. So how the distribution view is there? You can see, right, the temperature of a computer is resides within 70 to 95 in 2021, and same with 22 and 23. So everything is normal. So if you want to go battery wise, serial number wise data, so even you can do it. I can able to select the battery that is required. So you can see, right, the battery, whenever I bought the battery, whenever, okay, whenever I bought the new laptop, the performance is very at the top, okay, and gradually that is more common, that gradually the performance will be coming down. But during one stage, you can notice that the performance of battery charging capacity is coming down drastically. Okay, so do you think any anomaly happened over here this period? So, okay, so you can see, right, there is some setting that has been changed which impacts the battery performance. Okay, so this yellow line is nothing but the battery health monitor. There will be two types of health monitor. One is managed by the laptop manufacturer itself, which is nothing but the data saver, something like that. Okay, second one, if you turn off the battery saver, you will be consuming for battery for all the other things, right? That is the second one. So in this particular area, what happened was the battery data saver was turned off, and I mean the battery saver was turned off, and it is turned off over here. So due to that, the battery performance going really down. Okay, do you think we need a battery replacement for this, or just a setting change? Setting change, right? So what happens if the IoT devices, IoT level information is not there here? We might have replaced the battery, right? At least I think it will be worth of $100 in the laptop, right? So that particular amount will be saved with the help of telemetry data. So that impactful is the work we did. Yeah, you got it, right? Yeah. So even though we have NLP level data, combining the IoT level information will be more powerful in predicting the right failures as well as identifying the right issues. Yeah. So I think that's it from my end. Thank you.
Again, these are practitioners. They can go on for hours, right? They implemented these models. They can go to multiple levels. So I wanted the practitioners here, so you can talk to them. They work with some of the large names, right? So they've worked on it for several years. So they've trained team members. They've delivered very tough projects. And mostly these projects get awards and conferences. You won't see our names there because it's a client project, but some of these are award-winning projects for our clients as well. So, summarizing this, we're very sorry about the thing. We found out what it was. Next presenter, ask him to reduce his screen resolution. Yeah, they say, hey, reduce screen resolution. This flickering will stop apparently, but we found it out just 5 minutes before. Very sorry about that. Second thing we would suggest is these are two emerging areas which we recommend you guys do a lot of reading on, right? Doing your projects on. We believe, I mean, when I say emerging, not like the next 6 months or next 1 year, but the next 5 to 10 years, you can make a career out of these two areas, right? If somebody wants to launch a company or things like that, right? NLP, and this is here to stay. Chatgpt bust will happen in the next 1 year. As I told you, gave you some live examples. But these two areas, in my opinion, I'm betting on it right now for the next 2 to 5 years. With that, we will stop. How are we on time? Do we have more time, or is this room taken for another meeting? There's another session. Okay. So we'll be there outside for the next 10 minutes. So in case you have any questions, feel free to. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thanks for listening.